Hilchus Tumas Meis Pedig Shvi. Just a little agdomas. There's the din of a kever sosim. A kever sosim means if you have a house that's, let's say, over a mess or over a kever, and that house is completely closed, there's no doors that are opening to this house, so that's the din of a kever sosim. If you touch the outside of this house, the top of this house, you're tummy. That's the din of a kever sosim that we learned. Now, if you have a kever if you have a house that has doors to it, so then it doesn't have a din of a kever sosim because it has doors to it. So if you touch the outside of the house, you're not tummy. Now, if those doors are open, if the door is open, so you have tumah in the house, which is the tumas oil, and now you have an opening over the door, so that tumah goes out of the door. So if, let's say, outside the door there's going to be an oil, there'll be like a canopy over an overhang outside that door. So memela from the house, the tumah of the house is extending outside the house through this open door, and memela under that canopy, under that overhang, is also tummy. We learned before that if it's under the mashkif, it's tummy because it's extending, it's going out of the hole, which is the door, and it's going under this overhang, under this canopy, which is outside the house. So the tumah is going out. Now, what happens if the door is closed? If the door is closed, the tumah is not going out. The pashtus, the door is holding back inside the tumah. That's on the minateiradika level. On the drabonatika level, there's a din that since the tumah is going to come out of this door, the tumah is going to come out of this door. So even though the door is closed, so nevertheless, so since the tumah is safe at tumah lotzes, so therefore the outside the door is also considered tummy. So if you have an overhang over this closed door, so it can also be tummy because the tumah is going to come out of this door. Now, what if there's only one door in the house? There's no questions. So that door, even though it's closed, lepel safe at tumah lotzes from that door. But if you have more than one door, and it's not so clear which door it's going to come out, so that's going to be the din, that all the doors have a din of tumah, because it's not clear which door is going to come out, so therefore all the doors have a din of tumah. And al derev zeh, if let's say it does become clear, there's a number of doors, and you make up your mind which door will come out, so then we say that door which you made up your mind, that's the door which is going to come out. So again, it's on a drabbanatika level. There's a din of a kever sosim when there's no doors. There's a din when you have a house with doors. If there's only one door, there's nothing to talk about. If there's many doors, so all the doors, since they have a potential that the kever is the mess is going to go out through that door, so the mele that door is considered kilu seifa hames lotzis, and therefore seifa tuma lotzis, and therefore under the overhang would be tummy. And masha'inkin, if you made up your mind which door it's going to be, so then it's not tummy. And this kama prati dinim. That's what we're going to learn here. Peinik shvi, bayis sosum shames b'teicher. If you have a closed house, which the mess is in it, and a closed house means there's no doors. Or even shahayili pesach, if it once had a door, then uparatz es psimov, you already took off the frame of the door. Notice you didn't leave anything. It's not enough that you just closed the door. Not even enough that you locked it and you put something killer that you can't open the door anymore. You put like a board there, you can't open the door anymore. But over here, we're talking about it was paratz es psimov. You took off the frame of the door. So you're closing up the house as if there was no door. Uparatz es psimov v'sosmei. So then this bias is metami mikol sviva. It's metami from all its sides. Vanegebe, machera, v'migage, wherever you touch this house is tami shiva. Why? Mipnei shul kikever sasu, because this house, since it's a house that has no doors, it never had any doors, or it had doors, and you took away the frame of the doors, and it's closed that area, so therefore it's considered a kever sasu. Mipnei shul kikever sasu. Now, niftach beit pesach, what happens if you opened a door into this house? Afilu sasmi, even if you actually closed up this door. Whereas the door cannot be opened anymore. It's not only you closed it in the sense that you closed the door. You susma, you actually closed the door. You know, there's still over there the frame of this door. So then, so if a person touches the back of this house, it's not tummy, because that house, since it has a door, no longer has a din of a kever sasum. And the ain't tummy, el keneged apesach. The only place that will be tummy will be keneged apesach. The place where there's the door over there, keneged apesach over there is the tumah. Because we're saying seifat tumah lotzes keneged that door. Now v'kama yir shir apesach. How big does the door have to be in order to be tummy keneged apesach? And also the pashtus, in order for the house not to have a din of a bayis sosum. Because a bayis sosum means a house that has no doors. And if it has a door, so then the house is not a bayis sosum, so the house is not tamif mi'acherov, and it's tamif keneged abayis. Keneged a Pesach rather. So Kama Shir a Pesach, that the Pesach causes that Sai it shouldn't have a din of a Bayis Sosum, and Sai that the Tumah should be Yetzeh from this Pesach, is if the mess is Sholem, if you have a mess Sholem, so then Pischei Barba Tvachim. A Pesach is only if it's 4 Tvachim by 4 Tvachim wide. So then a mess could come out of such a Pesach. However, Kizayis Min HaMes, if there's only a Kizayis Min HaMes in this house, so then Pischei, in order to have a din of a Pesach, is enough Tefach. It has enough of a Tefach. So if there's a Tefach of an opening into this house, so it's no longer a Bayis Sosum. It's no longer a Kever Sosum. And then the din is that Keneged HaPesach, the Sefer Tumulatzis, and Keneged HaPesach is Tomei. The Godel Mikazayis, anything that's larger than a Kazayis, is Areu Kemesu Pischei Be'arbo, is Nachamo. If you have a Bayis Sosum that has no doors, and even if it had a door, but it was part of the Psimov, so it has the name of a Bayis Sosum, and it's Metami, the whole side of it is Metami. Masha'inkin, if it has a door, even if you closed up the door, but as long as you weren't part of the Psimov, so that house doesn't have a din of a Bayis Sosum anymore, a Kever Sosum anymore, and it's only Metami Keneged HaPesach. Now, how big does the Pesach have to be? So if there's a Mes Sholem in the house, so then the Pesach has to be 4 Tvachim by 4 Tvachim, and if there's a Kazayas, so then it's enough a Tefach by Tefach. And anything more than a Kazayas has the din of a Mes Sholem, you need Arbor El Arbor. Halacha Beis. Now, Hames B'teich HaBayis, you have a mess in the house. Ubei Psachim Harbe, and there are a number of doors there. There are a number of this there. Now, obviously, if a door is open, there's nothing to talk about, as we'll soon see. Bisman Shekulim Nu'ulim, they're all closed. Is Kulam Tmeim, they're all Tamei. Keneged, each of the Psachim is Tamei, because each one has the potential that that's going to be the door which the Tumah is going to go out of. And therefore, V'hayeshe B'tzad Kol Pesach Mem, Tachas HaTikra Hayetza La Pesach. If a person is sitting next to that door, under the overhang, which is going out above this door, is nitmei, becomes tummy, because the tumah comes out of the door. That's talking about if he has a number of doors and they're all closed. However, niftach echadem, if one of those doors were open, now you have a number of doors and one of the doors is open, or even if they're all closed, he made up his mind that he knows where the mess is going to come out, and it's going to be even though he thought about it later. So originally when the mess died, so all the psachim were tummy, and now he decided that he wants to take it out through one of the doors. And there's a window which is arbo al arbo, and he decided that he's going to take it out derek chalein. There's a bunch of psachim which the pashas are going to go out through the psachim, but he made a decision that he's going to take it out through a chalein which is arbo al arbo. So that chalein is hitzel al psachim kulam. So all the psachim become toir. Ve'in tamei el keneged haPesach sheniftach. The only thing that's tummy is only connected the Pesach, which was opened already. As we said, one case was that one of the doors were open. Or the one that he thought about it and he decided that that's going to be the way that he's going to go out of the house. The mess is going to go out of the house. And they're all Torah, and they're Nu'ulim, they're all closed. And if the Pesach would be open, there's nothing to talk about, that the Tumah goes out through an open door. Machshavas doesn't help. It could go out through all the open doors. Masha'inkin over here, we're talking about they're closed, and the only reason why they're tummy is that din rabbanon, because it's seif atumulatzis. So once you made a decision where the tumah is, either that one of the doors were open, so now over here that's the door that's open, or you made a decision where the tumah is going to go out of, even though you have doors, and you made a decision it's going to come out through a window. So nevertheless, all the doors become Torah, and only that place where you decided you're going to take the mess out, that's tummy. V'ashar teirim mipnei sheinu v'arein habayis kekever sosum. The bias is not like a kever sosum. In other words, the bias is a bias that has psachim. So therefore, everything is Torah, except for the Pesach in which the tummy is going to come out of. These words, V'arein habayis kekever sosum, don't really understand what's in the ger. So in other words, obviously the bias is not a kever sosum. It has psachim. The question was only which Pesach is the one that say fatum alotzis. I'm not sure what these words mean. Then the Rambam continues, V'chein, im hischil lachter Pesach lehitziyah bei. In other words, he has a number of doors, which are l'chura potential that they could go out with, and he goes ahead and he's opening a new door. He's opening a new opening. B'chenim hischil lachter Pesach lehitziyah bei. So mishayachter arbo al arbo. Once he makes the opening of arbo al arbo, is hitzel al psachim kulam. That causes that all the rest of the psachim shouldn't be tummy. Unless until there's the shear of arbo al arbo, which is the shear where a mess will go out of. So then all the other psachim are tummy. Once there's arbo al arbo in this new opening, so then it's hitzel al psachim kulam. Now, Hoyesham Pesach Sosum, he had a Pesach Sosum. In other words, he has a bunch of doors, and one of the doors is a Pesach Sosum. It means it's a door. Not only it's closed, but it's actually closed down. In other words, it's in a way that you really can't open it. But there's still psima. In other words, it still has a din of a door, but it's not a Pesach Nol, it's a Pesach Sosum. And v'choshev lehitzia, and he decided that he's going to take it out through the Pesach Sosum. So taking it out through a Pesach Nol is matzal all the other Pesachim, which are Nu'ulim. But making a decision that he's going to take it out of a Pesach Nol is not going to be matzal the other Pesachim, which are Psuchim, which are Nu'ulim. They're Nu'ulim. They just all have to do is open the door. Masha'inkin, this door is not only Nol, it's Sosum. Those you actually boarded it up. But nevertheless, it's a Shem Pesach because you didn't take off the frames. So Hayasham Pesach Sosum. V'choshev leitzim, and you decided to take it out through that door. V'hischel lepascha, and you started opening it. So over here, you don't have to wait until it was opened this year. Mishayaska lefteach, as long as you start opening it, it starts opening a little bit, is already hitzel ala psachim kulam. All the rest of the psachim lose its shem tumah. Because over here already you have a Pesach, and when you're making a Pesach, you have to wait until the Pesach is 4x4. Mashengi, you had a Pesach. The problem was only the Pesach was sasum. So as long as you start opening it, that's already enough. But before you start opening it, even though you made a decision that you're going to do it there, it's not going to be enough. Now, Hoyebe Chalenis Harbe, he had a lot of windows, and the Kulam Mugafis, and they're all closed, is Kulam Teres. So even though he has doors, he has windows. So Bepashtus, he's going to go out through the door, he's not going to go out through the window. So Mimela, so now if the window is open, so it's not again that it's where he's going to go out. The pill, since the window is open, so the tumah goes out through the window. But if the windows are closed, they were mugafis, they were closed. So now we say that the pashtus is going to go through the door. So all the doors are tamei. All the closed doors are tamei, unless he makes a decision, unless he opens one door, or he makes a decision to take it through that door. Masha'inkin, the closed windows aren't tamei. That's what he's saying. There are a number of windows, and the kula mugafis, and they're all closed. It's kulan teres. Niftachu, if the windows opened, kulan tmeis, they're still the windows are tamei because lepel, the tum is going out through the window. And v'lehitzil al psachim. The fact that the windows are open, we said before, if you have one open door, it's matzel on all the other doors that are closed. An open door is matzel on the other doors that are closed. But an open window is not going to be matzel on the other doors that are closed. Because lepel, the pashtus, is going to go out through a door, not through a window. So therefore, the fact that one of the windows are open is not going to be matzel on the doors. So when you have a number of doors, so we say each door is tummy because we don't know which door is going to come out. If one of those doors are open, so we say no, that door is tummy and everything else is tar. If all of them are tummy and you decided to take it out one of them, so again that's tummy, and the others are tar. That's only talking about when you have regular doors. Masha'inkin, if you have a door which is closed up, it's sasum. So the fact that you made a decision to take it out of that door, that's not enough. You have to start opening it. Once you start opening it, even though you didn't open it dalad adal, but you started opening it, that's enough to be matzel the other doors. Now, as far as windows are concerned, so if the windows are closed, so then even there's a bunch of doors and a bunch of windows, so the windows we don't count with because with pashtas the mess is not going out through the windows, it's going out through the doors. Now, if the windows are open, so the tumah comes in without this special din, because the tumah goes in. But the fact that the windows are open are not going to be matzal the doors. It's not like a door that's open is matzal the other doors, because the windows are not derech messes lots is through the window. Then the Rambam continues, Pesach cotton, b'toich best Pesach gadol. You have a large door, and in that large door there's a small door. So you could either open the large door, and obviously the small door will open with the large door, or you could just open the small door, and memela, and the large door will remain closed. So the din is azay. Hamal gal gabishnein. If you mal on either the part which is the small door, or the other part which is the large door, which is like the other part of the large door part, which is obviously the large door also includes the small door. But either side your mile on it is tummy. However, chashav lehitziyah b'katan. If you made a decision that you're going to take the mess through the small door, so then tir katan sagadol. So if you're standing outside the small door, and there's like a canopy going above the small door, or above the big door, which is also above the small door, that part of the small door, so then the tumah goes out, because the tumah is going to come out through the small door. But if you're standing on the part which is under the big door, Whereas you have a canopy that's coming out of the big door and it's not extending to the small door. It's only going over the part of the big door which is not over the small door. So then that's not tummy because lepel only the message is going to come out through the small door, not the big door. That's pashut. Yeah, chashav leitzir b'katan. You made a decision to take it out through the small door. So then tir katan sagadol. So then the small door was matayr the big door. Now hoy shnei masimim. If there were two doors, they have two doors, like two swinging doors next to each other. They were next to each other. Is again a mile al gabi shneim tummy. If you're mile on either one, it's tummy. They're both two doors together. Chashav leitzir b'chem. If you made a decision to take it out of one of them, so teres chaveris. So we don't say let's all one door. It's two separate doors. Two separate doors. So either he's taking it out from this door or from this door. Male, if he made a decision to take it out from this door, so then teres chaveri who is matayr the next one. So in other words, so only if this door is tummy, not the other door is tummy. Now the Ramar brings over here that it's talking about that there was like a little separation between the two doors. In other words, I said that swinging doors, but it could be swinging doors. Be'emes doesn't have a din of two doors because swinging doors has a din of one opening. You have to have two openings. So memela, the swinging doors is really one opening. Masha'inkin, if you have, let's say, a little separation, he says one mezuzah between the one door and the other door, so then it's considered two separate doors. So then if you want to take it out from one door, so it's tear the other door. Hoyel abayis, Pesach echad l'tzofen or Pesach l'dar. You have two, a Pesach in different directions. So at that point in time, only that door is the one that's tummy, and all the rest of them are Torah. And they timed no, we're not going to do what you made a decision. We're going to take it out from the south side, and lapel they're going to be listened to. They made the final decision. So the din is tir dremis atzveini, by the dremi becoming the door in which the mess is coming out. So the tzveini becomes Torah. You shouldn't have an arama. But if you really, this is just in order to create a situation where you can have tire on both sides. Now you want to tire on this side, now you want tire on this side. So therefore you're saying, now I decided this, you now decided this, you're really being married. So then they're both tummy. Halacha Gimel. Batim hapsuchim laksadra v'hamez be'echad mem. So in this Rambam, there's a big machlekes. The Raiva is arguing with the Rambam, and there's different pshatim in how the Rambam is learning. But chura al derech aposhet. Pshat hazeh. You have an aksad. You have a bunch of rooms next to each other. Let's say you have a porch in front of those rooms, and then you have a roof over that porch. So you have an area which is in front of a number of rooms. And then that area, it has a roof over it. That's an aksadra. An aksadra means an area which has a roof. It's not again, it has no walls. It's not no walls in front, no walls on the sides. It just has a roof. But it's a roof that's overhanging in front of a number of rooms. Now you have a mess in one of those rooms. Now the din was, we learned before, that when you have a mess in one of the rooms, so then you can have that the tumah is coming out of that room. The tumah is coming out of that room. And since the tum is coming out of that room, so under the aksadra becomes tummy. Under the aksadra becomes tummy. Now, once under the aksadra becomes tummy, so then you can have the tummy going back from the aksadra into the other rooms. Whereas if, let's say, the other rooms are open, so you have the tummy coming out of the one room and going under the aksadra, and then going from the aksadra into the next room. So here the Rambam is saying it depends. If if the doors are open, if the door are open in one room, the door is open in the other room, so the tumah goes under the aksadra, goes into that other room, there's nothing to talk about. Because under that, because that's mamish, the tumah is mamish coming out. The tumah is coming out of this room, which is open, and now it's going under the aksadra, and it's going from the aksadra into that other open room. There's no shdavasarid. Masha'inkin, if let's say the room where the tumah is closed, the room where the tumah is closed. So now the question is, we're saying that the tumah is still, but since seif hatumah lotzes, so the mela under the aksadra has a din of a tumah. So over here it depends. If it's already designated, it's clear that the tumah is going to come out through under this door, which is going into the aksadra. So it has a din mamish, like the door is open because it's designated that. So then the tumah, there's enough tumah that's coming under the aksadra, which is going back into the other rooms. Masha'inkin, if be'emes, there's, let's say, another room, that there's a mess in a room, and there's other doors that the mess could come out of. It's not really clear which door the mess is going to come out of. But lepel, since there's a number of doors, so each of those doors are tummy. All each door is a tummy, like we learned before. Then when you have a number of psachim, until it was designated which pesach it's going to come out of, so all of them are tummy. But even though they're all tummy, amemela under the aksada is going to be tummy, but that tumah is not strong enough to be able to actually go from the aksada back into the other rooms. And even though those other rooms are open, we're talking about this room is closed. And nevertheless, under the aksada is tamei because there's a possibility that it's going to come out under this door. But nevertheless, that tumah which is coming out because of the possibility is not enough to go to extend into under the rooms. That's what he's saying here. Halacha Gimel. That's the first part of Halacha Gimel. Batim apsuchim laksada. You have batim which are apsuchim laksada. Va'bes me'echad mem. In one of them there's a mess. The doors are closed. Now, the door of that room is closed. If the derech of the mes lotzis baksada knows that was the normal derech, or that was the decision that was made, so then harei habayis beishar v'abatim tmeim. Now the Rambam says beishar. There's an issue. What does the Rambam mean with a beishar? But there's mefarshim that learn that beishar means the aksada, which is the beishar to the batim, to the bayis which is tummy. So that beishar and also the batim are tmeim. Obviously, if the batim are open, if the batim aren't open, how the tummy going to get in? However, v'imlav, if this is not darkish u'mes lotzis baksada, is base shar tumah, because since it's one of the doors, and that so one as being one of the doors, the tumah is going to come out into the aksada, into that base shar. However, habayis tor, but the bias is tor. The bias, which is you want that the tumah should now go from the aksada into the bias. There's not enough tumah in the aksada which should be able to make the bias tumah. That's this din. Now a new din. Hacheder shelifnim in abayis mugaf, v'nichnesa tuma lifnim derech hachalein. So normally we say that if you have the mashal two rooms, one room in another room, and the mess came into one room, and then the mess went into the inside room. So now there's a mess in the inside room, and there's a door closed between the inside room and the outside room. And now, in that inside room, there's also a window. So we learned before that the fact that there's a window, even if the window is open, is not going to change the fact that the derech of the tumah is going to come out through the door. So again, you have a room, then inside that room there's another room, and lepel, the mess is in the inside room, and in the inside room there's an open window, for example. So we're going to say, there's an open window there, but lepel, this mess is not going out through this open window. The pastor is going to go out through the door, and it's going to go out through the front door. So the front room is tummy, and outside that front room is also tummy, because that's derech hames lotzis. That's the derech hames lotzis. But medvar mamurim, if the mess came in through the front room, if there was a mess that came in through the front room, or at least maybe he died in the second room, he died in the middle room. But if the mess went through the window to get into the inside room, it came in through the inside room. So we say if it came in through the inside room, it's also going to go out through the inside room. And Memelas, the outside room doesn't become tummy. That's this din. Hacheder shlefnim and abayis mugav. You have an inside room in a house which is closed, and v'nichnas a tumah lefnim derech hachalein, and tumah came into that inside room through the window. So the din is abayis hachitzin tor. The abayis is chitzin tor. Even though normally we say that the tumah doesn't go through the window, it goes through the door. But over here, abayis hachitzin tor is why. Because the tumah goes back in the same way that it came, and since it came in through the window, it goes back also through the window. Halacha dalet. Eina kever mitami mikol svivo. This whole din that if you have a mess in a house, and then this house is sosum, so the house has a din of a kever sosum. There's a din of a kever sosum, and memelas mitami mikol svivo. That's only at sheyir shom cholol tefach al tefach al rum tefach. There has to be that there's a mess in that house, and that mess has an oil over it. You know, there's a din oil in this kever sosum. In order for something to have a din oil, there should be a goiva of a tefach, and it should be a tefach al tefach. So if there's a tefach al tefach, birum tefach, so then that has a din of an oil. So there's an oil on this mess, and this oil which is on its mess is kever sosum. It's sosum, he called stadav. So then it has all this din of kever sosum. I feel like bia binyan al gabi chalal tefach ad l'rakia. The building that goes over this mess goes ad l'rakia. But since in this building there's an area which there is a kever sosum. There's a kever sosum in this area, which means that there is a mokim, which is a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach, and that's closed from all sides, regardless of how high the building is. Shahakil kekever, the entire building has a din of a kever. The entire building has a din of a kever, as long as inside this building there is a space where there is a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach, and that's covering that space. However, hoyso tumor tzutza, there is no in this kever. There's no area where there's an oil. There's no area which has a din of an oil ames, because the tumor was tzutza. Tzutza means compressed, pressed. There was no place in this kever sosum where there was a chol tefach. So then this whole din of kever sosum doesn't apply. So then we say tumor because ve'ela, because v'yiredus. The tumor goes up all the way to the rakia and it goes down until the tame. Vein tome ella hanigeh keneged the tumor mumayla. In other words, someone touches keneged the tumor mumayla, it has a din as if he's touching the tumor, because the tumor of a mess goes up lirakia and goes down ad tame. If you go make an oil, because you're making an oil over this mess. Because you're making an oil over this mess because there's nothing being mafsik. In other words, if there's an oil over a mess, so if you stand on top of an oil which is on a mess, so the oil, just like it brings tumor, it's also mafsik b'fnei tumor, like we'll learn b'hamshich. Mashainkin over here, there's no oil. In other words, you have a place where there's a mess, and that mess, there's no area above this mess which is a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach. In other words, it's all, let's say, we'll soon see like a pile of things that are on top of the mess. So there's no area which is inside this place, which is considered a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach. So therefore, the covering over that area can't be called a din of a kever sosum. So memela ve'ein tamel and negeh keneged atum u'mayla el amel melmat and keneged atum u'mayla amayla lemimayla. Oi, another option, hanegeh keneged u'mat. If you touch, because your hand is under the mess. So obviously the tumor of the mess is going down lamata, because v'yeredes. So if your hand is there, so it touches your hand as well. Oy mashahel olav mumata, or if you are mal on something mumayla. Aval anegeh b'tzidi abinyan Torah. But if you touch the tzidi abinyan, so you're Torah. In other words, if you touch what's under the mess, or the Rambam says even if you're mal what's under the mess, so then you are tummy. Masha'inkin, if you touch the side, which is the binyan. Till now we were saying that if you have a kever sosum, so even if you touch the outside of the binyan, you have nothing, you're very far from the mess. Nevertheless, you're tummy, because the binyan has a din of a kever sosum. In order for the binyan to have a din of a kever sosum, inside this binyan, there has to be an area which is a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach, which over there, the mess is being mispashit and having it in oil. No, it's not stamped in the building, there's a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach. It has to be that the mess within this kever is being mispashit under an oil. Is being mispashit under oil. Halacha hezek klal gadol b'tumas mes. Kol davar amitame b'oil min hames. Anything which is mitame b'oil, and those the parts of the mess which we learned before, the mess and meshalim and kazayis min hames, which is mitame b'oil. Im hoyer rotzutz. What does it mean rotzutz? She'en lechol tefach. There's no chol tefach. It's an area which is just squeezed on to the mess, and there's no area which is a tefach, which is a halal tefach. There's an empty space in the height of a tefach. So the din is harei atume because ve'ela ad l'rekia. The tomb of the mess goes up. It extends upwards until the rekia. Or because v'yiredus ad hateim, and it goes down ad hateim. Ve'ena metamim minat stodim, and it's not metamim anything minat stodim. It only goes all the way up and all the way down. Ketzad. Kri shel tfuah igal shel avarim. You have a pile of tfuah, a pile of stones. Ukezayis min hames b'techa. And in this pile there's a kezayis min hames. So there's no area in that place where there's a tefach al tefach b'rum tefach. There's no place where the mess is being metami b'oil. And v'kelim b'tzad hatum ukazayis min hames b'techa v'kelim b'tzad hatumah. There's kelim on the side of the tumah ve'enam neged bo. So the din is kulam teirim. All the kelim are Torah. And v'chol kli sheb'techa gal, which is mechuvim keneged hatumah momayla emomata. Any keli which is above the mess, no, it's not touching the mess, but it's above the mess. Because if you go straight upwards, this would be above the mess, or it's below the mess. Because if you go straight downwards, it'll be below the mess. It's tumah. Because shatuma, the tumah of a mess, if there's no oil, is because ve'ela, because v'yeredus. However, the mahoyim became a tumah chol tefach al tefach al rum tefach. In the area where the mess is, there's an area over there which is a tefach al tefach, berum tefach. So over there, so the mess is betoicha oil, that's the verb. The mess is under an oil. The mess is under an oil, because an oil means that there's tefach al tefach, berum tefach. So then the whole around of it is ukikever sasum. So for example, you'll have this pile of stones. If you have this pile of stones, and in that area, let's say you'll have a shoebox, and the mess will be in the shoebox. So Memelis over there, we're talking about that there's a tefach al tefach, berum tefach. So the part of the mess is in the shoebox. So Memelis, so this whole pile of stone has the din of a kever sasum, and Memela, if you touch this pile of stone from any side, or there's it's tummy, and the person becomes tummy. Halachavav. Bayis shemili offer yitzrei. You have a house, but you fill the house with earth or with pebbles. So again, as a bittul sabai. So now you don't have any space in the house. The house was all filled. Memela ba'ariu kigal shall offer yitzrei. So it has a din like a pile of stones or a pile of earth. And memela the moisha tumah b'techa offer because v'yiredus. But the kelim should be sideh b'techa offer tedim. If there was tumah inside this pile of stones or a pile of earth, so whatever is above the tumah, directly above the tumah, regardless, is tummy, and anything below the tumah is also tummy. But anything on the side is not tummy, even though it's all under the same house. But it's only under the same. It's when is there a musig of oil if there's space in the house? And a house doesn't have to have that much space; it just has to have a tefach al tefach berum tefach. If there's a mess under an area which is a tefach al tefach berum tefach, so then anything that's under that, so then that's called that the mess is in an oil. If the mess is in an oil, so then the kaver, which is around that oil, is called the kever sos. Halacha zayin. Tumah shiritzutza b'kesel. You have a tumah which is ritzutza b'kesel. In other words, there's no tefach al tefach berum tefach in this kesel, and the tumah is lying in the kesel. So now if you touch this kesel, you're tired. Because the tumah, in other words, if there's a tefach al tefach berum tefach in this kesel, so then the whole kesel becomes a din of a kever asosim. The kesel itself is a kever asosim. Masha'egan over here, since the tumah is a tumah ritzutza, so memela, so that you touch this kesel, you're not going to be tummy. And then the somach sukkah lekesel, you went ahead and you put a sukkah next to this kesel, and you built a sukkah on this kesel. As we'll soon see, the Mamshim later on, the Rambam will say more pratim. But right now, you built a sukkah, and the kesel, which has this tumah ritzutza, is one of the walls of this sukkah. So you have the roof of the sukkah lying on top of this wall, which has a tumah ritzutza, and you have a kesel. You have a kesel with a tumah ritzutza, and you have a sukkah next to it. And this kesel with the tumah ritzutza is part of the wall of this sukkah. So the din is a sukkah tmei. The sukkah becomes tamei. Sha'arei nasa kesel tzad mitzid oil. So even though be'emes l'chura tumah ritzutza is only mitamis because ve'ela because ve'yeredus. So the question is, how does the tumah ritzutza, which is in the kesel, extend into the sukkah? So it's like a special din d'Rabbanan. No, since this kesel, which has the tumah ritzutza, it becomes part of the sukkah. So melas ki'ilu, like this tumah ritzutza is in the oil, is in this oil, and the melas, the sukkah is an oil. So memela, this tumah ritzutza is ki'ilu in the sukkah, which is an oil. So memela, it becomes l'spashet. If you go ahead and touch this tumah ritzutza, so you wouldn't become tummy because it doesn't have a din of a kever sasu. Aval mishinas aleim eil ha'eil kuli tummy shariatum b'teicha. In other words, the pshat is ki'ilu neimar. If you have, let's say, a tumah ritzutza b'teicha bayis, so the tumah ritzutza b'teicha bayis, you have an area of tumah which is a tumah ritzutza. But lepel, since it's b'teicha bayis, so when the tumah ritzutza is b'kev va'ela, so it's b'teicha bayis. So since it's b'teicha bayis, so memela, so there's a din oil. In other words, you can have, let's say, an area in a house which is there's a tumah ritzutza over there. But lepel, since it's in the house, so lepel, when the tumah ritzutza goes into the house, it's b'kev va'ela, and part of it is in the oil of the house, so the house becomes completely tummy. The tumah ritzutza is Tumas Meis, and it's in the house. So in other words, even though that little area where the tumah is tumah ritzutza, but that tumah ritzutza is b'kev va'ela, so it's in the house. So Aldera's over here. This tumah ritzutza, which is in the wall, like becomes into the oil, So this tumah is going into the oil, even though really l'chura it's not going into the oil. It's going upwards, not sideways. But that's the chiddush, that this tumah is ki'ilu, like it's part of the oil, and the mela, so the oil is the oil. So the Mela, the entire oil becomes tummy. That's this din. Knows so so a sukkah tmei, the entire sukkah becomes tummy because it's kilu. You have the tumah with teicha oil.